Good morning, Friday. It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations. And I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020, Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner, given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. You know what? People don't not believe me. This is actually my 2020 award family, by the way. I just want to confirm, like my major mentor says, don't talk about it, show it. All right, so that I've done. Also, I am the co-host and co-producer of the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care, and being part of that team in 2022 and 2021, reached out directly and indirectly to over 100,000 fathers around the world. As always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, a solution for someone's problem. Ryan Knight's in the house.
Good day, good day. Apparently it's a PA day today, and parents just found out yesterday. So kiddos are home. But for those that don't know who I am, my name is Ryan Knight, one of the co-founders of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network. We work with entrepreneurs of Caribbean and African heritage, really to figure out what stage the business is in and then help them to grow their companies exponentially. I'm an entrepreneur myself. I do run a company called Detailing Nights. So we're a mobile waterless car cleaning company. So we go to people's houses, clean their cars on the spot without water, and our eco-friendly plant-based cleaning supplies. And so this summer, if you know of a person in high school or college, we are going to start our recruitment drive for our youth entrepreneurship program.
So
they get to run mini versions of our company to really show them that they have the potential to start their own business. And you'll see I'm still rocking the PACU shirt, which stands for the Pan-African Credit Union. So if you want to see a financial institution that is Black-led and Black-serving, definitely go to pacu.ca and pledge your support so you can become part owner of this up-and-coming credit union. Good to see you, brother.
Nice too. Lots going on. Like every show now is like it's so different over the last few months, where like we knew each other where it's like, yeah, there's stuff going on. There's stuff going on. Every conversation, there's stuff going on. So first things first, let's do this. This episode is one of the sponsors. We have two sponsors for this episode, by the way. So first sponsor is Ebony Occasions. They want to be part of those special moments in your life for Valentine's Day. Why not give that special person in your life a card that is also a piece of artwork? The cards can be cherished and admired for years to come as a sweet gift. Notice that, sweet gift. They are offering 10% off all the cards on site. Use the promo code Ebony10. Just apply the code at the checkout and you are good to go. So remember, at Ebony Occasions, they are your number one choice for Afrocentric greeting cards. Whatever the Ebony occasion, they have you covered. Go to ebonyoccasions.com to shop for their culturally relevant cards for holidays and other special occasions. So thank you for the continued support of Ebony Cards. Also want to just put up their information here. There's their website. What happened to their website?
Oh, there we go.
There we go. It's back now. All right. It's there also. So there's their website. There's their Instagram. Also, this is information how the way you can go directly to that. Discount Ebony 10 for the coupon code. There's a would use Ebony 10 and it entitles you for a 10% discount off your order. Only one promotion per purchase, people. Don't get greedy. All right. One per purchase. All right. So Ryan Knight, what is you know what? Yeah, what's going on?
I mean, so I got a notification this morning of another gala. I guess now that we are doing the gala watch, people are like, yo, did you see this one? Did you see that one? So hold on.
Okay, while Ryan's looking that up,
as
always, subscribe. Make sure you subscribe if you want to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube. If you do that on YouTube, push the notification bell and also like it on Facebook. But wherever you're watching it, please like it so you know what's going on. And again, thanks to everyone. Like, I'm getting you to 1,050 subscribers on the YouTube page now. Also, if you're up, and Ryan, thank you for the support yesterday. You can join me February 2nd and February 16th to talk all things podcasting. Join me in this 3-part, highly active series. Did my first one yesterday. It's a collaboration with Innovation Guelph. They were very, very happy, and I'm humbled that they enjoyed it so much. I was pleased, but one of the things what made me feel really good, there was a lot of the Dr. Vibe Show Morning Vibe family in the house. Aldofina, who's a regular here, she was there. Ryan dropped by. A gentleman who I hadn't seen for a long time, Paul Osborne, was there. It was just amazing.
And so really interactive.
You for all this. Yes.
I like
that's what they were saying after.
Great information too.
Yeah. That's what a lot of people, that's what they were saying on the other end. Say, like, we've never had such an interactive webinar put on by their platform. Nice. So thank you very much, family. And it's funny, I never thought I'd ever want to do a webinar. It's never, and isn't it it's one of those things, I never want to do it, and it just hits you.
Right.
So it just hit me in line solid
with, like, your expertise, like to put on a webinar. It's in your wheelhouse.
I've never saw myself doing it, Ryan. I'll be honest. I never thought like, so when you go to the link, if you click on the link, let's see, this is what you'll see. And it takes you down and the whole thing. So when you click on the link that's on the screen there, you can register for it. Obviously, the first one is no longer, but you can. There's the 2 here, 102 logistics, and then Ask Me Anything. You can go to those. So thank you, everybody, for your support. It means the absolute world to me. And I can't get into it yet, but I got a message this morning saying, Dr. Vibe, we have some really good news for you. There's a message for you. So I'm waiting to hear about that. And actually this afternoon, the federal government. So I think a while back I had told you about my umming and ahhing about putting in a submission for the pre-budget consultation.
Yes.
And how they invited people with 2 days notice to go physically to Ottawa to present, which I was not going to do. And I don't think people in British Columbia would do it on 2 days notice. But so then 2 days ago, we are pleased to have you submit virtually.
Right.
So I called Ryan. I said, Ryan, and the thing is, you have to wear a headset, and you have to wear a headset, which I don't wear headsets because I got a mixer, but you have to. And if you don't wear a headset and microphone, you can't present. You can't present. So I said, oh my goodness, do I want to go out and buy a headset and microphone for this? And I said, yes. So I said, no, maybe I have one. So I found one. So I don't have to go out and buy one. So I'm hoping that everything goes okay with that. And the thing is, I'll be honest, family, I'm not prepared. I don't know what I'm going to say in 4 minutes. So one of the things that's, what, when you're blessed, you're blessed. Marlon Steven, I see that you are in this room. I am calling you ASAP after we finish. All right.
Good.
So Marlon, heads up. I'm calling you because I need your expertise on this. And I've got 4 minutes to share. So Marlon and another gentleman I'm calling today to get that expertise from that. So that's that's what's going on. So that is happening. Wonderful. What's going on in your world?
So sorry, it was the Aurora community, Black community that's doing Black Community Gala. So shout out to them. I think Jean Augustine is their keynote speaker. But other than that, been just grinding. Got to record some podcasts with some new ones that are coming out. So
so you see Ryan's after me. Ryan's after me, fam.
Hey, these are other podcast I guess content creators. So Tony Good Vibes, Mr. Good Vibes, he's creating a podcast. So I got to meet with him and Cherie Maggie. So if those that don't know,
yes,
she was one of the speakers at our symposium 2 years ago, and she's been doing great content work. She was one of the influencers for the Buy Blacks Restaurant Week. She's been really educating people about Creole and different dialects of Creole coming from different islands. So, and a big foodie. So it was great to chat it up with her. But yeah, other than that, looking forward to the weekend, but it should be pretty chill. My Saturday is still quite clear, a lot of white space. So I'm going to try and keep it like that. But yeah, what's new with you other than
today is crazy. Like it's just been like whirlwind stuff going on. It's just crazy. But let's shout out people. So as we said, Marlon Stephen. Well, my mind is on you, Marlon. Once you're first person in today, I've been blessed. Good morning, Divine Right from the DMV area. Are you still celebrating your birthday?
Good morning, we got to see Divine. She was doing an Instagram live last night. We got to watch a bit of that.
Good morning, Teach and Inspire. Divine, what did Dr. Tachi call you this week? The Galaxy.
So we're gonna find a space on our website because it's almost every day now I'm finding a new gala that's happening in the Black community. So we're gonna put up the posters so you can keep track too.
Okay. Yes. Good morning, Selena Pollard. Thank you. Hayden. So Hayden's a family. When he says, "OMG, my eyes to see me," is that Ryan on a Friday show?
Yes.
And of course, Fitnance IQ Cam. Morning, gentlemen. Did you enjoy yesterday's webinar, Fitnance? You were highly engaged, and thank you so much. Nice. And we also have from Jacksonville, Florida, Naleen Cossard.
Sweet.
So this is beautiful this morning, and looking forward. Also, Tim Frey. Good morning, Tim Frey. How you doing?
Good day.
Fitnance IQ Cam. I did enjoy it. Fantastic. Well, we are just the appetizer because we got the man coming up here. Our man when it comes to mortgages, real estate. And it's funny, we were getting into a deep conversation, said, "Oh, we got to go live.
Save it for the show." It was like exactly on topic.
We had to go. Yeah, when we were on topic, we were going to interfere with the family time. So I said, we better shut it up. So as always, we are very blessed, highly favored to have Ray McMillan back to talk about mortgages, real estate, but he's going to be talking about a really interesting subject that I haven't heard talk about in this way first of all, the topic gentrification. I haven't heard people talking about it, but also he's going to take it to, as he always does, another level today. Solid. Welcome back.
Good morning.
Ray McMillan of the McMillan Group. He is here, ready to rock. What's going on, Ray?
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm doing very, very well. It's Friday, right?
Yeah.
People that saying TJF, thank God it's Friday. Is that from a movie or something?
Yes.
Yeah. Isn't it a food chain in the United States?
Food chain, but is there a song or something by the Village People or somebody? I can't remember. I'm dating myself now, so my apologies to the younger audience. But it just seems like something that has a kind of beat to it.
Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention too. As always, we're doing a calendar giveaway too. So just to make you aware of that. So everyone who's put in something in the chat, we're giving away a frequency event promotions calendar at the end of the show. All right, Ray, let's get right into it because we've wasted too much of your time. So you want to chat today about this interesting conversation topic, gentrification, and how real estate investors, the opportunity can be monetized and beneficial to the local community at the same time. Why do you want to talk about this today?
I mean, it's a hot button topic in many parts of North America, where we've seen older, poorer neighborhoods going through what is called a renaissance or a rebirth. And for most of us who are of darker hue, we're on the outside looking in at this opportunity. And what prompted the conversation is on our last open mic or round table at the end of the year, we were speaking about people who are moving way out into the suburbs because houses are cheaper. And we had a discussion about price versus cost. So while the price is lower, your cost to live there becomes astronomical. And many people don't really analyze the costs when they're buying homes. I recall back in the 90s, there was a huge push for many of the executives in Toronto to move out of the city. And many moved to Grimsby, because I worked in Toronto at the time. I worked for a financial institution back in the early 90s. And most of the people lived out in interesting places. And they'll get up early in the morning and they'll drive in. And that's when there's a lot of gyms and stuff in the corporate center in downtown Toronto. So they come in the morning, they go to the gym, and by 7 o'clock, they're at their desk. I remember going to an interview once with a large mutual fund company back in the mid-90s. And the person who interviewed me asked me, what time can you be here? And the gentleman said, well, anytime it's good for you. He said, 7:30 in the morning. And I said, sure. But then, with that exodus out into the suburbs, everybody followed the people who went there first. So when you get onto the QW today or the 401 or any of the major highways, it's a parking lot. You get on there and you stop.
Yep.
I stopped working in the city back in 1999. That was the last time I got onto the highway to drive during what is called rush hour. And then as they started to develop the downtown core and started to build the condos, because the condos at first weren't being built the way they're built today. If anybody remembers the first condos that were built off the Garden Expressway and down in the Cherry Beach area, and even on the south side of Lakeshore, down at the bottom of Bathurst, they weren't really built. They weren't 400 square feet.
Ray, can I just interrupt you for a moment? Can you tilt up your camera because of your bottom of your that's better. Yeah, okay, there we go. I want, because you're a handsome guy and I want people to see you handsome black man. All right, go ahead. Sorry about that.
So what started to happen is started to build a lot of condos, and if you remember the downtown landscape, there's a lot of older buildings that are converted into what was called lofts. The first one we had was a tip-top building downtown Toronto. And many of the executives
I remember that building. That was there forever.
Started to move back into the city. And if you recall Toronto in the 80s and 90s, when you go into the city on the weekend and you walk down Bay Street, any of the streets downtown Toronto, it was a ghost town. There's nothing there. Fast forward today, it's a whole urban energy in downtown Toronto. It never stops. They brought the nightclub vibe in first, and then the condos came in, and with the condos came the restaurants, etc. Because what you have to take note of, that in every urban center, all the infrastructure is there. These are what are called walkable communities. And this is not just for Toronto. This is all the major cities across North America. So you go to Montreal, any city in the US, Detroit, New York, Miami, Chicago, Washington, D.C. They're walkable communities. What they have is what is called a walk score. And you can check the walk score of where you live. The higher the walk score in your community or neighborhood, the less need you have to own a car.
Right.
So a reasonable walk score is anything above 70%. At 80, you're good. cities with the highest walk scores are New York, Chicago, Boston, Miami, I think San Francisco, and then Toronto. New York walk scores 88%. Toronto's is somewhere around 71%. Now, that's just for the entire city, but there are pockets of the city where the walk scores are much higher. I mean, Pulpit, for example, is a very high walk score. Because you can come out of your home and walk to a grocery store, doctor, bank, restaurant, entertainment. The highest walk score in downtown Toronto is the Bay Street corridor again, where all those condos are. So off of Charles Street, if you come out to your condo, there's a supermarket below your store. There's a doctor's office there. There's a dentist. There's everything. Tons of employment. So your work score and your transit score are key elements when looking at what will influence gentrification.
But then, so if the walk score is important with gentrification, what are some elements that a person can see being built that would make a person see that gentrification is about to happen in this area?
I use the term follow the money. And before we came on, I was talking to Dr. Bell about this. I lived at Bathurst and Sinclair many years ago. And that corner, there was a car wash and a gas station on one side, prime real estate, and then a TD Bank and some lawyers' offices on the other side.
Okay.
The first thing they did is they bought a huge 24-hour Loblaws superstore right on Sinclair next to the subway station. Right? So the city planning has all the information of what is coming at any given time. So the large companies, we know that developers have bought this land and what they plan to do with it, right? So the first thing happened there is that you had this huge Loblaws right next to the Sinclair West subway station. Now, as we evolve, we don't really notice this stuff anymore. That happened about 20 years ago. Fast forward today, if you walk on that corner, that car wash gas station is gone, and there's a huge development there. The TD Bank might be still there, but the entire building has been redeveloped. But what is important is that along Sinclair Avenue, going west along Sinclair, and remember, there was a huge construction project along Sinclair where they were upgrading the infrastructure, which is the streetcar lines. And everybody's complaining. Businesses were dying.
Right, but yes.
You have to wait it out. Because real estate investment is not a short-term play. So if we start investing in real estate today, it's not for us. It's for the next generation. We're never going to reap the benefits if we start today. Unless you get lucky. And
is that why we miss it? Because we...
Sorry, I didn't get a statement there, right?
Yeah, is that why we miss gentrification and not investing in those areas? Because something like Regent Park, Lawrence Heights, like those have happened in our generation. So why is it that we haven't invested in those areas to be part of the redevelopment of it? Like, what are we missing?
Because we see the problem, we don't see the solution. Because many of the areas that we first of all, to define gentrification, it's really the redesign of a neighborhood by bringing in the money and probably displacing the existing community, which most times is a lower income community with socioeconomic issues. So for many of us who have lived in those environments, we are happy to leave the environment. Right? Huh. So we are focused on leaving rather than trying to figure out how can I monetize this environment? Because you have these huge homes in some cases. Right? I mean, if you go down to what is now called King West, which was previously Parkdale, you have homes that were built in between 1917 and 1940. And they were, I don't want to call them mansions, but they were homes that were substantially big. Now they're older, and you may have to go into those homes and cut the entire inside and redesign it. But most of us do, we leave the environment because usually there's a lot of social issues. There's usually drug use, there's usually a lot of petty crime and that sort. So you hear that police siren all the time. And if you grew up in that environment all your life, as soon as you're able to, you want to leave it. And this is a North American phenomenon.
Right.
But each of these neighborhoods has a story. There's a history behind these neighborhoods. I mean, at the corner of Bathurst and is it Dundas or Queen, there's Sneaky D's. Sneaky D's is a Toronto landmark, and they're planning to redevelop the entire area. We had Yonge Street with Sam the Record Man.
True.
That entire area is being redeveloped.
Like Staples.
Yeah, right. The Toronto Metropolitan University. I bet you, I really wonder how. Right? I wonder how much land they have in that area.
And as you walk along, you get into parts of like the annex community. You know, where you have these. They aren't really brownstones, but you can call them brownstones because they're built along the same type of design as the way they built them in Harlem and Chicago, right? But we don't see it, and because the homes are older, and many of us lived in older homes as immigrants or as Black Canadians, we tend to move out of the area as opposed to try to stay there and redevelop it. My mentor bought property in 2 streets downtown. One is Sackville, one is Berkeley, right? Huge homes, 2,800 plus square feet, that you managed to change the footprint and make them into multifamily homes.
Right.
So if you're in a community where everything, if your walk score is 75 or 80 plus, and you are able to charge rents that are significantly higher than in the suburbs, because everything you need is right there, and the streetcar stops in front of your door. So the need to have a car is almost non-existent. And this is anywhere in North America. For a client, this is in the US, Washington, D.C. is a city that's going through major gentrification. Jacksonville, Florida, where I spend a lot of my time, is the exact same thing. Memphis, Tennessee, right? Here on the East Coast, you've got, the Nova Scotia area, Dartmouth and Halifax. And in many cases, it's not as prevalent in Canada, but in the US cities, it's usually areas that have Black history that become the first stop for the gentrification train.
So that sparks in my mind, because when Regent Park was going through their development, I was talking with Isaac Ololafe from Dream Realty, and he was looking at Jane and Finch and explaining to me how valuable that area is because of all the development that's happening. The subway goes right through now. And like what you just said, that is considered a Black area, but the story of it is so negative that I would never look at that area as being prime real estate. And the way he broke it down, I was like, it's a no-brainer that we should have been heavily investing in that area instead of trying to run away from it. So that's exactly what you're saying.
I mean, if you look at a lot of the US entertainers, you hear the name very common. I think it's called Calabash. It's this area in California where they all live. But then you look at the guy like Nipsey Hussle, who went back into central Los Angeles and was redeveloping an area that needed revitalizing.
Right.
How many people who have the resources are actually doing that?
Right.
And Isaac was correct. I mean, infrastructure is one of the most important things that influence property value, right? So the more infrastructure there is in the neighborhood, the more opportunity you have to develop that property and take the vibe significantly. So while in the suburbs, you can go into places like Addiston and parts of Durham and buy homes that are nice and well priced, there's not a lot of opportunity to change those footprints to really make money.
Yeah.
It's just a nice home.
Yes.
So the mindset has to take a shift where you can actually say, okay, how do I buy this property and take the value from $1 million to $3 million? And then remember, the reason why there's crime in some areas, because with lower property values, you have a lower property tax base. So there's less revenue in the neighborhood for policing and all the other is a goal with keeping the neighborhood safe and presentable. As the area goes to gentrification, your property values change, properties are reassessed, and your property taxes go up. That is money into the municipal coffers to increase the police presence.
Right.
All right. We're going to take a quick little break because we got to promote our other sponsor of the day. But folks, we are watching The Morning Vibe, and Ray McMillan is dropping knowledge bombs about gentrification, and the chat room is going wild. So I got a lot of work to do over the next few months because we got to do a little promo here. We got to catch up with the chat. So this is going to do, first things first, we're going to put up a little bit of a logo for our other sponsor here, and it's going up right now. Here we go. And also, this episode is brought to you by Elemental Notes, providing customized herbal remedies to support you in optimizing your health. They help our community, our melanated community, take its power back health-wise. Looking to enhance your life from a health management perspective? Contact them at info@Elemental Notes or visit them at www.elementalnotes.ca. So that is our other sponsor for the day. Also, I will put up their information so you have it here. So much stuff to do. Here we go. That's their contact information. Website, email address, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. I love the YouTube. Embrace your healthy rhythm. That's a nice tag. That's a nice tagline. I like that. Embrace your healthy rhythm. Now, let's get back to comments, because there's a whole pile, and Ray's here too, so it even makes it more crazy. So let's say we've got this Divine Right talking about her birthday celebration. Yes, thanks for checking out the show last night, Ryan. Yes, the celebration mode is still in full effect. Welcome as always to Donna Harrow. Thank you for your continued support, Donna. And Divine says, yeah, let's go for the next level. And then, yes, great topic. That describes the DMV area to a T. Gentrification is all over. Fitness IQ Cam, RIP Cool House, one of the longtime institutions in Toronto that got gentrified, by the way. Divine Right's so birthday happy. Yes, it's been great, and my son is good. Have a long weekend and excited. So you and Ryan have long weekends, I guess. Tim is saying hospital bill tells you what's happening in that area. I don't remember what area because I know it was such a while ago, but if you can tell us what area that is. Hayden says Bathurst and St. Clair is my old stomping ground. I grew up there.
Nice.
Destiny Savory says, good morning, fine gentlemen. Are you back from your wonderful vacation yet, Destiny? And Marlon Season says Don Mills in Eglinton. Yeah, that's another area that's totally changed.
Right.
And it's just up the street from, can't remember off the top of my head. And then Marlon says just all the crosstown LRT. All the development. Anything close to the crosstown LRT, that's the gentrification stuff. Ray, I love your thought process saying a lot of the times we run away.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's understandable because I mean, you use the word trauma very often in your dialogue. I mean, so if you're in an environment where you've experienced trauma being there, then as soon as you're able to, the first thing you want to do is leave. But there's a lot of historic context in many of those neighborhoods that we need to educate ourselves on, right? So you've got the architectural integrity that in many cases are preserved in some of these neighborhoods. I mean, there's a place called Old Weston, the village of Weston Road, just off 401. You go into the back of that neighborhood, you've got, when I first wanted to buy a home, that's where I wanted to buy a home. There was these homes with these wraparound terrace, these wraparound balconies on the upper levels. They were huge lots.
Gotcha.
And many of those neighborhoods had what is called, there was very small manufacturing. So you had like the lithographic printing companies in back there. So most people who lived in those areas worked in the area. So most of the large urban centers across North America have these small subsects or small neighborhoods that have their own economies, right? And as Tim mentioned, the hospital, you have the local hospital, and then you have, the local schools, but it's usually small manufacturing. And if you look at parts like South Etobicoke, down by Evans Road and bottom of the 427, there. And each of these have their own little neighborhood where people who live and work, who live there, tend to work there also.
Gotcha.
Right? But this is
let me just interrupt, if I can, politely, a few things. I used to work in the Western Road and Eglinton area. And what's happened in the last few years there, once the GO station went there, things started to change. And there's so many condominiums there. And then one of the areas of Toronto I don't get to a lot that almost feels like a different country is what you're talking about, that South Etobicoke area, like Evans Avenue. Whenever I go there, I never get down there. It's like a totally different country down there.
So how do you know what is coming? I mean, you just mentioned Don Mills. So you've got that whole shops and Don Mills little thing there, which was new. So if you go back again 20, 25 years, Don Mills is mostly an immigrant environment. I played soccer out there many years ago in Peanut Plaza. That's where I played a lot of my football, right? And then they built this amazing shopping center that has this Miami, LA feel. Where when you go in there, you don't think that you're in Don Mills anymore, right? So as investors, we have to pay attention to what is being constructed, right? So one is the transit, bus service, bus routes that are increasing their number of buses. They're going from running, the rush hour shift to running 24 hours a day, because the transit is doing their research on an increased population to a certain neighborhood. That's the first key, that they're going to gentrify the neighborhood. So if the bus routes start to increase and the bus service is more frequent, then they're planning to go from low density housing to mid or high density housing.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Huh. It's across North America. Right. But so we have to come back to these neighborhoods then, instead of leaving. Like, I approached some of my colleagues in Jacksonville about buying where I buy, and the first comment is too much crime. But the crime is dropping. It's dropping because the area has gone through successful gentrification. What stops many of us to buy in these areas is the financing. The financing is a lot more challenging trying to buy an older property, an older triplex or fourplex that needs significant work.
Gotcha.
So this is not a transaction we can go to the bank and get it financed. So we are still very conscious. We're still very focused, on the lowest interest rate. Instead of trying to focus on how do I get the financing to change the value of this property in the future, right? And if you catch the process in the early stages, you're buying at a significant discount, and with the necessary work being done, you're changing the value of that property, sometimes 3 or 4 times as much.
Right.
But your initial entry is going to be challenging. It's never easy. If it was easy, everybody be doing it. So you have to understand that sometimes you may have to go to the secondary financing market and get an expensive mortgage product to get in. The down payment is usually a little more substantial.
Okay.
In some cases, if it's a fourplex or less, there are programs that are offered by the mortgage insurance companies that will insure the property and your mortgage, against any risk. So you can buy up to 4 units. Once one is going to be owner occupied, and have all the necessary construction and renovation work done in the existing mortgage. So they'll lend you enough money to purchase the property, plus complete the renovation once it's being done by a contractor. So let's say you bought a property on the Danforth, for example, for $1 million. Well, it has to be below $1 million, $900,000 or $999,000.99, right? It's a 2-family, 3-family, 4-family home. You can buy that with a 10% down payment. The property needs $300,000 to bring it up to standard change the value, right? The future value, once the work is done, is now $1.8 million. The money that you bought for the work can be financed on the additional mortgage. It's called purchase plus improvements. So it allows you to buy property in neighborhoods like along Eglinton Avenue, where we currently see homes in the area that we're going to see a significant change along Eglinton once that construction finishes. It allows you to buy homes, change the footprint, turn it into nice units, whether they're 2-bedroom or 1-bedroom units, and then you rent them. You live in one, you rent it. And you can repeat that process as many times as you choose to. Now, if you have the second and the third property, obviously your down payment will increase to possibly 20 or 25%. But we have to rethink how we buy real estate. Because as I said in our last conversation with Finance IQ, your suburban home is not going to get you wealthy. It's a nice place to live.
Okay.
It's not going to create you a lot of wealth.
But
and
you mentioned
fixated on that comfortable lifestyle.
You mentioned that we're really focused on interest rate. Is it that we should be more focused on cash flow, like cash flow positive? So looking at maybe higher rates, but if the numbers work, it's something to pursue.
Yes, and as investors, you're right. It's about cash flow, buying at a discount, and creating value. So if you buy a home, an older home that's, let's say, off of DuPont, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Buy an old home there, it needs a bit of work, but you can take that single-family home and turn it into a two-family home. So instead of renting for $4,000 a month, you have 2 units that you rent for probably $3,000 a month each. It might be slightly smaller units, but you're in an area where you walk out of your door and you can walk to almost anything when you feel on DuPont Avenue. Gotcha. And you still relatively, you're not downtown, but you're still relatively close. You're closer to the Royal Ontario Museum. You're close to Casa Loma. You're close to I think it's Ryerson College. You're close to University of Toronto. So,
right, George Brown's right there.
George Brown is right there. Yeah, George Brown, not Ryerson. Sorry, George Brown is right there. And then there's all the lifestyle amenities. 2 of our most popular restaurants today are Bukan. Did I say it correctly, Dr. Bai? Bukan, and Bukan and what's the other one called?
Sugarcane.
Sugarcane, yep.
Yep.
They have managed to find themselves locations that
are prime.
Rapid gentrification.
So
as Black Canadians, our benefit is to choose the locations for our businesses where the population mix covers a spectrum enough of incomes that will make our businesses survive and scale.
Yes.
There's another restaurant in downtown Brampton, right to the corner of downtown Brampton, in the historic district of Brampton, Old Brampton. It's called Four Corners. It's called Lot 25. It's the exact same thing. The downtown core of Brampton is going through a major gentrification.
Yes.
All right. I just want to interrupt, catching up with a lot of comments here because people are fired on this conversation. Teach and Inspire says, I appreciate the connection between historical context and new developments. This is deep, capital deep. Thanks for sharing. Earl Anderson, good to see you as always, Earl. Infrastructure is key and the root of building forward. Marlon Stevens, Flemington Park. That's where I was trying to remember. Flemington Park. Don Mills and Eric Edmonds are going to be interesting to see what that area looks like in the next 10 years. Hayden says, big ups to Elemental Notes, which is one of our sponsors for today's conversation. Divine Right says, that's what I want to do. Buy a duplex, tri or quad, and live in one for now and rent out the rest. Tim Frey, Bellamy Road and Ellesmere in Scarborough. I pass by there periodically. The new subline built along Ellesmere. Black churches are being suggested to be bought. My family is working on buying a couple of them near our building.
Gotcha.
And he says before it's taken over, then the zoning will change. Absolutely. Once the zoning is changed, you're shut out. So we're caught up with the conversation points.
But that's where, Ray, you mentioned developments are like 10 years out. I remember being at the city of Brampton, and there's a gentleman there, Daniel Bichon, great statistician, and really helps like businesses with market research about what's happening in the city. So he'll show me a plan of the city, and areas of the city, people are planning like 10 years from now what's happening. These are conversations that I don't know is popular in the Black community. Like, we're not usually talking about what's going to happen 10 years from now in our own community or anywhere else in the city. So how can we shift to start paying attention to these city plans that are 10, 20 years in the future? Because like you said, when that zoning sign goes up, they thought about that like 5-10 years ago. And now it's coming up to say, oh, a community consultation is going to be happening to say this is going to change from a plaza to a condo. By then, it's way too late. It's like we've completely missed the boat. So how do we stay ahead of that?
Well, we are starting it right here. This is the first platform. I mean, our role here. I mean, you as the executive of ACBN, you have a very huge audience, right? I don't know I don't have all the answers, as I always say, but I have a pretty good experience, not only here in Canada, but I've seen it happen in many cities. And I am currently doing a lot of my stuff in Jacksonville, Florida. And it has a historic context. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, once the conversation starts and we start to let people understand that the suburban home is not the way to generational wealth. But buying urban property might be the way to scale, because as you mentioned, as Tim just mentioned, that rezoning stuff, that's where you make your money. Right? When you can apart from single family, low density to mid density, that change in zoning is a money maker. So we have to understand that the 3 bedrooms in the garage is not a money maker. Right? That's an expense, particularly in Canada, because you can't even deduct your mortgage interest in Canada unless you have an investment loan tied to your portfolio. In the US, you can deduct your mortgage interest. So at least there's some benefit to buying the home. In the suburb. And I mean, I'm not discounting buying a home to live in, don't get me wrong. But all here is about wealth creation for African and Caribbean people and Black Americans. And the only way to do it is owning the right real estate. It's the only way to do it. Right?
Sorry, so you touch on something that is very a hot topic, because now I'll use my parents as an example. They buy a home, 3 bedroom and a garage, like you mentioned, and then they pay it off. But they are not interested in now using it to build wealth, to like look at a place that's being gentrified. They have access to equity so that they could invest in something that maybe they can change the zoning and turn it from low density to higher density. How do we bring that conversation to our community that has equity? Garnet Manning in Brampton mentioned a lot of us in Brampton actually own our homes, but we're not
being clear. No mortgage in it. No mortgage.
Right. Yeah. So we have dollars there that are investable, but we're not even having these conversations on how to do it.
I think the first conversation is a family conversation. And I think for many of us, growing up in Caribbean households, and I was fortunate in that many of us grew up in households where the money conversation is between our parents and the kids are never involved. Right. I was a bit more fortunate. I didn't live in that environment. I was involved in the money conversation with my grandparents. So my grandparents raised me more or less. So I was involved in a lot of what they did. And when they were not in the country, I did a lot of stuff for them. But I think we have to get the family conversation going. That's where it first starts. The family is the foundation of all wealth within the Black community.
Absolutely, 100%. And there,
I mean, for many of us, there is the risk conversation. Everybody's risk tolerance is different.
Yes.
The challenge is, if you don't know, then you think it's risky, right? So to tell somebody you can take $1 million out of your home and go down on St. Clair and buy this storefront,
it just sounds like madness.
Sounds madness. But then what you have to do is show them the historical data. That if you had bought this house in 1999, it would have been $279. The same property. If you bought the same property in 2004, it would have been $549. Today it's $2.1 million. House you live in, you bought for $279. Today it's worth $900,000. Sorry. So the difference in value or appreciation between your suburban residential home, which is nice to own, and something you can buy in an area that has transit being redeveloped, new hospitals being built, new wings being built in the local university. Because when they expand Ryerson University or University of Toronto, there's more students coming. There's a demand for more housing. They expand the University of McMaster. McMaster is downtown Hamilton.
Right? It's a
if
city in itself.
McMaster, see all those historic homes. They're all student housing. They're beautiful homes. They don't look like your typical dormitories. They're beautiful homes with architectural beauty, right? But again, it's the conversation that has to start. We owe it to each other to start that conversation. We can't.
All right. Let me just catch up on comments here, because dropping the knowledge bombs as always. Fitness IQ says to Divine Right, yes, a triplex would be a good idea. Coach Danny Stone, morning all. Someone on my sheet just bought a bungalow, tore it down, and built a triplex. He lives in the middle floor and rents the top and the basement. And it's funny because all these tear downs, a lot of them I think are done by realtors, and they're just creating more income for themselves. I don't know a lot of people that are buying the tear downs. I think someone's doing it for wealth.
There are a lot of investors who do it. I had a young, I mean, I have a pretty large Black Canadian portfolio. And, you know, one of my colleagues was here yesterday. We were talking about a deal I did for a young man, probably about 22 years ago. And he bought a place in Davenport.
Yep.
So while everybody's moving to Brampton, up Chincoosy, he bought a place in the Davenport. And I remember he didn't drive. And it's usually uncommon when you have a young Black man who doesn't drive. He had no license. Mm-hmm. Today it's very common. A lot of young Black youth today don't drive.
It is very weird.
Because the Gen Zs and the Gen X have a whole different lifestyle and expectation of what the future is going to look like.
Right.
And he came to me and he bought this place on Davenport, and it was a duplex. And he was going to convert it. When he did it, we were going to convert it into a triplex. Right. And back then it was like around $275, which was a big mortgage for a 24-year-old kid. But his mother had lived downtown Toronto all her life. So his reality wasn't living in Mississauga or Brampton or Durham. His reality was living in downtown Toronto. So for him, it's hop out his door, go to the basketball court on the corner, walk to the corner store, jump in the streetcar. And he was in the film industry. So everything he did was in Toronto.
Yeah.
And opened my eyes to the opportunity, because I live in the suburbs also. I'm in Meadowville, Mississauga. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I couldn't understand why someone would buy this 70-year-old home in downtown Toronto. Fast forward today, he has scaled up, I think, to 3 of those units. I have another friend who did the exact same thing. He bought a lot of his places in the downtown core also. And, you know, that's before the condos were being built down at Bathurst and Lakeshore area. Nothing was there. Downtown was a ghost town in the 90s.
Yep.
Right? But coming back to your counselor, you have to sit down with our family, our parents, and tell them, you're in your 60s or your 70s. You've got this home that you bought for $185,000, pardon me. It's now worth $1 million, 1.5, whatever the value is. Can you give us our inheritance now? Because if your parents are going to live till they're 85 or 90, and you get your inheritance then, you're already 60 years old. You've robbed your children and your grandchildren of 40 years of recreation. And there's serious conversation. Products in place that allow us to access that equity without any significant cost to the parent. Because when they die, they're going to give you the home anyway, unless they've sort of written you out to the will. But most of our parents are going to leave the property for us.
If you bring up this conversation, you might get written out the will.
Everybody's doing it. Everybody else is doing it.
Hey, the conversation is important to have, 100%. At least to put it on the table and be like, hey, here are some options of how we can build generational wealth for the next 2-3 generations. It's not just about the current situation that we're in. We have to start thinking long term.
Yep. So Fitness IQ Camp says it's so important to have the family conversation. Marlon says the key is making the acquisition cost low and knowing how to increase the value. Tim says, Ryan, contact land planners and have them on to discuss zoning times in different municipalities and how to prepare for them. Usually zoning discussions and decisions every few years or so.
That is
and
so
then
good idea.
And Fitness goes, yes, bahaha, try not to be written out. How do you will? Oh, but hold on here. Roger Dundas says, I don't agree with that line of thinking. Which line? Oh,
listen, send him the link so he can come on.
If he wants to, I can send him the. If you want to,
which part?
No problem.
Let me expand this comment for me.
Okay, so we're going. So, what line of thinking do you not agree with, Roger? And anyone else who the comments are flying in, and lots of people are watching, family. So. Chime on in on this. This is another.
Also,
Wendy, this is our version of Wendy Williams' Hot Topics. But hold on, here we go. He says a parent has no obligation to finance the child.
Oh yeah, and I mean I agree 100%.
And then also, so Hayden says too. Let me just finish off the comments here. I've tried that conversation with parents. I was lucky to leave with my head intact. And Roger goes, adult child. He says adult, has no obligation to a finance adult child. Fitness IQ says that is true, but vice versa. A child is not a retirement plan. Comments are still flying in. Okay. Go on.
And I agree Roger 100%. But there's no obligation. I think many parents want better for their children, particularly if that parent is an immigrant. And I think for a lot of immigrant parents, the goal is to come to North America and have that better life. Right? And then, and the home gives them that better life. So there's a huge emotional attachment to that home. Usually we start with the apartment, then the semi-detached or townhouse, and then the dream home in the end section of Brampton or Erin, or wherever. This
describe our journey.
And our parents remove themselves
Yeah.
From what's happening in downtown Toronto, because most people who came to Toronto and lived at Western Road and Lawrence very rarely drive back to those neighborhoods 25 years later.
No. They don't.
They don't ever
we were
do
at Keelan Wilson, and that's like a distant memory now.
Distant memory. And I can understand that, Roger, because as Dr. Bible always says, there's a certain degree of trauma in living in those environments. And while not every parent is going to be willing to have that conversation, many will if it's done properly. And I've been
we got all some of the heavy hitters in today. So Wayne Harris says a parent has the obligation to teach financial literacy with their kids. If that wasn't done, they should cut the check. And then Hayden Morrison goes, Roger is dead wrong. In today's society, everyone, we have to build family wealth. You know what? We need to bring all these people on and just have a real throwdown on
round
this.
table
Conversation. Like there's going Fitness IQ cancers. I agree, Wayne, but I don't need to cut the check. All right. Wayne Harris is saying let me just finish with this last one. You either pass on legacy of wealth or a legacy of debt. What's the mindset of the parents? Should each generation start from scratch? Ray, come back in.
I can agree with Wayne's comment, because if your client base involves people who are non-Black, then we see different realities. I've got clients who are Italian, who are Greek, who are Punjabi, and the way those ethnic groups function compared to the way my Black and Caribbean clients function is night and day. Interesting. Right? Because their focus is on making their children's lives easier. I had a Greek colleague of mine who, when he got married, he bought a home in Toronto, and his parents gave him the mortgage. He didn't go to the bank.
Oh,
yeah. We do the transaction right now with Stephanie's doing the deal right now, where the guy's doing a self-build. So he's building his house from the ground up himself.
Right.
He is Portuguese, and the same thing. His parents have given them money, right? So in many other communities, there is more of a business life than the way we do it, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody wins. So you got 3 siblings. The parents have got some money. They've got their savings. They worked hard. I mean, the father was a plumber, whatever he did, he worked construction. And he's able to give each child some money to start the process. They might not be able to give you all of the money, right? But if they give you some, and when it's correct, we can't have our children going into the future with nothing.
So true.
Like I was telling Stefan a few days ago.
Okay, so okay, no problem. Keep on going.
Yeah. I was telling Stefan a few days ago. There's two parts of the legacy that you leave for your child. One is the financial legacy, which is the real estate and the assets. But the other one is the intellectual legacy. And I think that one is actually more important than the financial legacy. So if you can have conversation with your children, son or daughter, about your journey, the mistakes you made, the risk you didn't take, and educate them why they should take these risks, then it's easy for us to take advantage of opportunities like gentrification.
So true.
Okay. I'm just going to stop right here because Ryan has to leave. We're going to go into bonus time because the conversation, the comments are just...
Go ahead.
Well, but Ryan, any final words? I know you got to jump.
Listen, so Ray, we might be booking a meeting for my entire family to come and just sit with you and listen and see what's possible, but always appreciate the words of wisdom. And I'm going to still be kind of listening. So I'm going to still listen to the bonus time. I just have to
go and make one comment. What we need to do also is use ACBN as an opportunity to start having the conversation. And as Tim said, we bring in, I have people I know who are city planners who work with the city.
Hey, if ACBN don't want them, we'll take them.
Start that conversation.
I like that. And hey, we'll coordinate that because I think just those introductory conversations make it low obligation just to get the conversation started. I think that could be really powerful.
Run, Ryan, run.
Yes. All right.
Take care. No problem. So just continuing on with the comments here. Roger says, I think the parents' insurance should be the inheritance. Wayne Harris says, with the right insurance, the parents can fund the down payment while they are alive. They don't have to die for the wealth to transfer. Fitness IQ is asking, are you talking about demand loan, Raymond?
Which question is she referring to?
That's, I know, the Kai can try to keep up.
She has to come into perspective.
Yeah. Roger says, people should feel free to enjoy their wealth to the day they die. Donna, we are going to do this. She says, I wanted to say this is a much longer conversation. Please plan a longer discussion or an ongoing teaching session. This seems to be a hot conversation topic.
Because we are missing the opportunity in all of these cities. I mean, Toronto has gone from 2+ million people to, I think, to 6 million people. But wealth hasn't changed a whole lot.
That's right.
In those 20 years.
That's true.
We may have nicer homes and nicer cars, but we don't own any of the prime real estate in the city.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of historic context to the conversation. There's a lot of neighborhoods have a lot. And I'll tell you one other thing, and this is not only for Toronto. Some of the best schools are in some of what was categorized the worst neighborhoods in Toronto for many years. And one of the best schools in Toronto was off of Lawrence Avenue, close to the Expressway. Close to an Expressway. I can't remember the school right now. But that school was in an area that was reported as the Dungle. Mm-hmm. And one of our best schools were in that. And if you go into many American cities, you will see the exact same thing. Many of the best preparatory schools are in lower income neighborhoods. So you see all these luxury cars driving through with white families, dropping their kids off. But our kids aren't going to those schools. Our kids aren't making those school-made connections with the right people. Because the connections you make also is also important. If we are able to stay in these neighborhoods and enjoy the benefit of the gentrification, our social interactions change. And our wealth building process becomes easier and more scalable based on who we know, who we interact with.
Good stuff. So Wayne says to Roger, you can do both. That's my point. I'm trying to keep up with the conversation, with the topics. I don't want to interrupt Ray because Ray's on fire, and everyone in the chat, family on chat. Christopher says, what do you think we can do to profess more, leaving financial legacy for the next generation? Well, parking lot that. I want to get to some of these comments. We'll never make it without generational wealth. That is the proof that we fully understand generational wealth building. Our community desperately needs that. I think Roger is saying that to Wayne's talk that they can do both. Fitness IQ, I need all these gentlemen to bless my podcasts about this. Well, I'll take them first. Thank you. Marlon, that is the foundation of generation wealth. Wayne is saying Bathurst Heights.
Thank you, Wayne.
Yep. And then it's now called John Polani. And then financing. Marlon says, financing your family's journey to generational wealth. Good topic. I think we've got a conversation topic coming up. But yeah, I think this is definitely going to be a continuing conversation. Ray, this is when we bring in the family and the heavy hitters coming in, I think my mind is always saying we need to have a round table with some of these gentlemen together and talking from a Black man perspective, generational wealth.
Yeah. And I mean, we have to be very cognizant that the wealth creation process for a family and the legacy is not a 5-year or a 10-year process.
No, it's long.
And if you're an immigrant or parents or immigrants who came here and had a very basic job, no offense meant, then you have to now take that foundation and take it to the next level. Right? And we have to involve the children in the conversation. And we can't wait till our parents are 85 years old to access that wealth that they have managed to build, sometimes accidentally, because most of our parents who came to North America, whether it's parts of the US or parts of Canada, they just bought a house where they bought a house, and some got lucky, right? Some bought houses. I mean, there are people who bought homes, who bought townhomes in parts of Toronto that were not the best decision because they didn't have the right information or access to the right information. Oops. And then there are some people accident.
We still got you, Ray.
Sorry about that. I think we had a bit of sorry about that. And then there's some people who by accident bought homes in the right neighborhoods. You know what I mean? So a lot of the success our parents have had, we can say it's quite accidental, right? But now we know better. We have seen the city evolve. We have seen, the transit being developed. We've seen the airport expansion, the new terminals and the expanded terminals. We've seen that in the last 25 years. So if we want to, as we say, make our communities independent and financially sound, then we have to have the conversations and take those risks. And that goes for any city in North America.
Good last words to leave on. Ross comment here, Wayne, Roger saying, I had the benefit of parents teaching financial literacy, and I had my own will insurance from age 21. Never relied on their wealth to make it in my life. I have worked on my own since age 16.
And that's commendable, Roger. And I admire and respect that. But not every one of us have the ability to chart our own futures. Some of us need a gentle push.
Yeah. Wayne Harris is saying, look at how people live off Eglinton West and on the east side of Lawrence West and on the west side. The east side is owned by non-melanated. The west side is rented by the melanated. There you go. All right, family. I think we're going to call it a wrap, but this is part, the comments are still, and Wayne Harris, honorable Roger, respect, you are in the 1%. Hayden says, good point. I believe the days of accidental wealth building is gone. And Fitness IQ says, blessings to Rod. Oh boy, Craig show. People saying, love this discussion. We are going to continue it, family. But this is how you can get in contact with Ray. Canada, US, toll-free website. This has been an epic conversation. And Roger says, DWL, Wayne Harris. Wayne, Roger, everybody, Hayden, Christopher, Fitness IQ, everyone who caught part of this, either live on the replay, epic. Ray, thank you as always for taking the time. This has been, I think this may be the most engaged, and we always have great engagement, but it seems to getting higher every all the time. So thank you.
We owe it to our future to get on the gentrification train. And the access to information is very easy today. You can look at anywhere across Canada. You can do a lot of the research. There are a lot of cities. There are not that many cities in Canada have a historic Black context, by about 10 or 12 cities. There are Black neighborhoods in parts of Montreal that have been there for almost a century. Obviously, the East Coast, Nova Scotia, Chatham, Hamilton, Sarnia, Windsor, Vancouver, part of the prairies. But in the US, it's a huge opportunity. You've got hundreds of neighborhoods in the US that have a significant Black history. And not only a history of culture, but also a history of wealth that was created there that got sort of destroyed during the 70s and 80s. Two things destroyed it. One was the oil crisis in the 70s and the early 80s. And the second was the drug pandemic of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. But there's a rebirth today, and we have to take advantage of those opportunities. Land is one of the world's scarcest resources, and urban property is always going to be available at a premium. So the more you can acquire and the more you can look at opportunities to change its value, the wealthier we will all become.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to get a few last quick comments. Roger says, who knows, I may have an inheritance coming soon, Wayne Harris. And Wayne says, you might. And then Roger says, his dad died in 2021. The will is with the executor, have no idea about the contents. Wayne says, doing it yourself is great. Other communities are doing it together and doing it faster. That's all I'm saying. And Wayne expresses his condolences about Roger's father passing away. And then finally, Marlon says, Ray, remember, there is a meeting soon. That must be something between you and him, so I am not going to go there. So I'll leave it at that. So as always, Ray, thank you so much for taking your time and everything you have done, our deal, and will be doing, because we got to think future for us. So it looks like you got to go, so I will let you run. And thank you very much, and we'll be talking sooner rather than later. Take care.
Yeah, thanks for that, gentlemen, and thanks to the audience, and thanks for the comments in the conversation. It was well worth it. Thank you very much.
Be well and keep the faith. Remember to give yourself grace. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy. All right. What a conversation. It was fire today. What? So many people. Thank you, everyone, for stepping in. And of course, we're going to be doing a giveaway of a frequency event promotions calendar right quick, because we didn't get to everything we even wanted to today. But you family, you rock the house. So let's do the calendar giveaway. All right. And here it goes now. All right. Roger Dundas is the winner of the calendar. Roger Dundas has won a frequency event calendar. So Roger, what you need to do is this: email info at Frequency Event Promotions and put the Morning Vibe in the subject line of the email, and they will get that calendar to you. All right. So let's see if we have any final comments. Raul Thomas, thank you so much. Glad you enjoyed the conversation. And Divine Right says, I've been trying to educate a loved one about buying a duplex and renting it out part of it, and they aren't getting it. I'm telling them, let's make money while buying something, a learning curve. Absolutely. Teach and Inspire says, congratulations to Roger. Fantastic. So, family, after that conversation, I need a rest. So you can watch replays of the Morning Vibe at the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and Facebook, Afro-Caribbean Business Network, Facebook and YouTube, and the Ryan Oneil Knight YouTube and LinkedIn page. Yes. So that's where you can catch that. Again, I don't usually do this at the end, but had to because it was such a hot conversation. Let's thank our sponsors for today's show, Ebony Occasions. That's their website and their Instagram. This is the information if you want to get a 10% discount on any purchase you make on the site. Now, one promotion per purpose, especially if you're doing some Valentine's Day cards, makes sense. Also, want to thank Elemental Notes for making it another epic conversation. Thank you for your support. Black-owned business, melanated-owned business supporting a melanated show. Love that. That's wealth creation in a good way. All right. I'm going to go to two more last comments. Congrats, Roger from Fitness IQ Cam. All right. So we are done. So as always, I'd like to say a few things. Catch me tomorrow night, State of Things with Aisha, Jill, and Lala, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Sunday afternoon, Black Canada Talking. We'll be doing a Black Canada Talking roundtable. And one of our regular panelists is finally back. Sarah Youngo is back. So looking forward to that. And then Monday, we're back with the Morning Vibe. Also, next Friday, we'll have Kemba and Andrea from Keen Real Estate. They're going to be putting on a wealth creation seminar. So they're going to be talking about that and bringing on one or two panelists for that seminar on the conversation note. And Ruel Thomas, hit me up for opportunities to invest in real estate out west. There you go. Let's work together, family. Let's work together. All right. So as always, let's close out with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace. I also want to say, remember, you want to do this too. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and also hit notification and also like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook. Wherever you're watching this, just subscribe. Just subscribe so you get notified for upcoming epic conversations. All right? So let's say God bless, peace to all, keep the faith, walk good. Remember to give yourself grace and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. We'll see you on the road.